GM fam, yesterday we told you that there's always a bull market somewhere, and it turns out that the bull market is in Conic Finance. If you're not familiar with Conic Finance, they launched back in April with this concept of omnipools. With an omnipool, the idea is if you just have a single token, like you want to earn dollar yield or you want to earn Bitcoin yield, you would buy into the appropriate Conic omnipool. Once you're in the Conic omnipool, they would take your dollar, take your Bitcoin, and they would sprinkle it amongst a weighted set of curve pools that were voted on by CNC holders, CNC being the governance token of Conic. So the idea is that you would, like, for example, be able to like diversify your dollar liquidity amongst several dollar pools and claim the yield. They'd be doing this through Convex. So conceptually, we could see where the use case is incredible. Should you ape your entire net worth into this? No, we're not qualified to say. We're not financial advisors, but we can talk about some of the debate that we've seen going on around Conic because people are surprisingly like on the fence about this. So back in April, when they first launched this project, Tetranode, who is a very major whale, very rich person, even despite the downturn in the market, but has a passion for keeping the community safe and trying to kick out scammers from the community. Tetranode took this very rare step of posting publicly some reservations about Conic. And none of these were like allegations of outright malice or anything, just something seemed off and his intuition wasn't quite feeling it. So he said, you might want to use some caution before aping in. Now, he's since deleted the tweet, so perhaps he's revised his opinion on this. Conic has been undergoing an airdrop since for several months now. It's ending in October, and there's been no issues with that. There's been no indication that the team is running off with funds or rugging people. The contracts look perfectly safe. The biggest knock that I'm seeing in discussions about whether Conic Finance is a good idea or not is simply whether it's going to succeed. In the past, there's been a lot of attempts at single-sided liquidity, both within Curve and elsewhere. Yearn tried it, and Yearn has got some top-notch devs, and they couldn't solve the problem. So what generally happens is whenever there's been attempts to create single-sided liquidity, generally LPs get hurt. So there's some people that are concerned that this is a bigger challenge than they might be up for, and they might not be able to do it. So the flip side of this is that if they do solve it, it could be huge, like the capability of adding single-sided liquidity, diversifying your risk over several pools and earning yields without having to take an active management could be amazing. We could see this becoming a very, very big piece of the flywheel if it succeeds. So long-term, we are bullish on Conic's prospects if they're able to solve this. There's also a sort of more significant question, which is that just yesterday they applied for a gauge vote. They have a CNC ETH pool. It's a V2 pool, and it's the primary source of liquidity for their token. And they'd like to start incentivizing it to allow rewards to start streaming to it. And perhaps, who knows, maybe they would also take part in some of the bribe activity or something. So this vote went up already, but for the moment, this is not a condemnation of the project, but we'd recommend voting against it. And here's why. Generally, when people put up these votes, they first go to the governance forum and they fill out a lot of information to give the community a lot of data so that when they go to vote, they can cast an informed vote. And as of yet, they haven't done this. They haven't posted anything in the governance forum. They just tossed the vote up. So until we see a bit more discussion around the project, its risk factors, its pros and its cons, how they're going to be solving this challenge that's eluded developers in the past, we think it's premature. We would like to see more discussion. Ideally, they would actually just talk directly with the crypto risks team, who are some of the smartest people in the Curve community, and get more of a risk assessment as to what they're trying to solve here. Because the risks that they mention in the white paper are mostly around slippage, but there's other risks like Oracle risk, DPEG risk. We'd like to have a better understanding of how they would do that. We think that if they did come back to the community and provided this, we'd probably flip and recommend voting yes. So again, we recommend against voting for this. But we do think that the team appears to be well-intentioned. Their website is gorgeous, we didn't mention. So we are bullish on what they're trying to tackle long-term. And even if they can't solve this problem, we hope that they're able to solve some sort of problem and become a major builder within the Curve ecosystem. One quick note before we go. Yesterday, we talked a bit about some of the lending protocols, and we mentioned LendFlare as one of them. A user brought to our attention, though, that LendFlare is apparently abandoned. So the LendFlare team has not been responsive for about 2 months, and there's been some issues with people who have actually been doing the lending on LendFlare. So if you have the capability of getting out of the project, we would recommend getting out until we hear a bit more. And if you're thinking about aping in, this is not be the right time. So a lot going on within the Curve universe as always. Stay safe out there, friends.